What is up, you guys? This is your boy TeladiaPlays, and welcome to another video, guys. In today's video, I'm joined by Joypad Jake. Welcome.
Hello, Teladia. How are you doing today?
I'm good. Thank you for joining me on this very special video, guys, because it's very special collaborative video. We're talking about DC gaming, and we're going to be talking about who should star in their very own epic DC AAA video game. We thought about it, we came up with some ideas, and Jake and I have come up with a character each. So, Jake, of course, welcome to the channel, of course, and
Thank you
Jake,
for having me.
please let the world know like what sort of content you do, because people, my audience, don't know exactly what you do on your channel.
So I definitely have a good bit of content on my channel when it comes to DC games. I made a whole series going over a bunch of secrets that can be found in the Arkham games especially, and that's still ongoing. And that secret series spun off into different rankings to where I rank the costumes of the sidekicks. Have one coming out now where I'm ranking all the DLCs. So gonna be doing a bunch of those, and those Arkham rankings spun off into where I started ranking designs of characters and video games across the board, not limiting to a specific series. And I've done the big three in comics: Spider-Man, Superman, and Batman, and continuing to go down a list of everybody that I have. And I doubt I'll run out anytime soon. I can say that because there's a lot of characters that have appeared in a lot of games.
Yes, that is true. So speaking of DC video games, shall we kick off of who our characters should be for the star in their own video game or
Let's
AAA
do it.
video game? So, who did you pick for your character and reasons why?
So the character that I picked is kind of similar in a way to the Arkham series that I just mentioned, and that's Green Arrow. And I actually made a video a while back talking about how Green Arrow can work in his own video game, and I can actually go more in depth on the points that I talked about there with that one, because you could make it similar to Arkham in a sense, but also different in its own right to service that different character. Have the combat be something similar to what you saw with a character like Robin, how he was very up close and personal with a staff. You could replace that bow staff with an actual bow and arrow and have that be a form of physical combat, have a similar combo system, have it be very rhythm based like they were, have all sorts of
Right.
all sorts of takedown combinations, and even have it to where there's a selectable gadget wheel. Now, it might be a little bit more plain as far as the gadget wheel goes, because you would just be, going through a different wheel of arrows, but there could be different variety arrows to get through different combat and predator scenarios. Have an electricity arrow, a fire arrow, a freeze arrow, a grapple arrow, things like that. And the wheel could work in a very similar way. And you could have quick fire options to where, if you're just trying to quick fire just some generic arrows in the middle of a fight, sort of like your quick fire batarangs in a Batman game, could work really similar to that. The only problem that one might run into with that one is how to make that whole narrative surrounding Green Arrow's world, because Green Arrow's rogues gallery isn't that big. That's why whenever you saw, the Arrow show specifically, that's why they borrowed a lot of Batman villains from the gallery there, because Green Arrow doesn't have that many villains of his own. Now you could do, characters like Merlin, Richard Dragon, Brick, a lot of gang-based villains like that.
Right.
That are a little bit more street level.
Would you take inspirations from many of the comics?
There, I think, could be a number of comics that you could draw inspirations from, specifically Rebirth, like their whole Ninth Circle story that they did with Dante and his group, the Ninth Circle. They brought in the character of Emiko Queen and used her in a unique way. They could make a really personal narrative out of that. Maybe structure it a little bit better than the TV show did, but that shouldn't be too difficult. And you could even visit, the island and little bits where you saw his backstory and your bits where you saw him train. You could visit worlds like that. That could be a little hub area that you could visit, sort of like you had in the later Arkham games where you had your Batcave and your Wayne Tower and your movie studios. You could have places like that. The clock tower that is often used by Black Canary and the Birds of Prey could be a visitable place. If you wanted to, a fun little detail, if you wanted to maybe connect it to so say Rocksteady made this game, which is what a lot of people were theorizing back in the day.
Yeah.
I always thought that if they did it, you remember the Easter egg in Arkham Knight where you see the little open computer showing the communication between Barbara Gordon and Black Canary,
Yes.
or not Black Canary, the Huntress. Sorry.
Yeah.
If you were to be able to visit the clock tower and then see the other end of that computer chain, I think that would be cool. Not saying it necessarily has to be connected to Arkham, because I think the most recent installment did enough damage to that franchise already.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
they could definitely work in its own way, and you could have those sort of gang villains, or your villains that are a little more power based, kind of like your onomatopoeia or your Count Vertigo, things like that. They could definitely work. Vertigo, especially the TV show, made him a lot more similar to Scarecrow, which is not what his ability set is. That he disorients you. He doesn't show you your fears, and plus that would just be ripping off a concept from Batman Arkham already with what they did with Scarecrow. So
Yeah.
you could make it very different. If they decide to do that, then so be it. But there's a unique way you could utilize that character.
Yeah, I would say so as well. But I think like you've picked a great character. I think Green Arrow is is up there for people wanting a Green Arrow game if they can't have another Batman game. I think it's similar in function, but like I said, the Rebirth isn't my favorite. DC comics down the line,
Right.
universe.
Yeah.
But I think you have the right idea of where exactly they could take inspirations from. So, like, obviously, guys, if you've seen some footage, there will be footage of Green Arrow gameplay from the Injustice video games. So you guys know what character we're talking about. At least then there's some character talk. Which character we're talking about. But I feel though when it comes down to Green Arrow, I think there's also got to be a level balance of we've got to have an open world game for Green Arrow.
Oh yeah.
That's for sure. We've got to have the 𝐂𝐓, right? We've got to have that.
Yeah.
And we also got to have like introduction of Speedy, Artemis, right? Those characters,
yeah,
they need those characters for those games. But I think that's a great pick though, Green Arrow for sure.
And for a first game, I'd say you could introduce Roy Harper in a similar way that the 2018 Spider-Man game introduced Miles Morales. He wasn't a main player yet, but he was still part of the world and coming into his own alongside a hero who was already very much experienced. And you could have this game feature a very experienced Green Arrow, kind of like how Spider-Man was 8 years in his career in that game. You could have Green Arrow have a similar establishment and then introduce Roy Harper as an up-and-comer in that game.
Yeah, that can work actually. And I wouldn't put it in the Arkhamverse like because I think, like you said, the Arkhamverse is already in a little bit of a problematic situation right now.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't do an Arkhamverse video game, but I would do something else entirely. So like something like how Gotham Knights Way was separate to it.
Yeah.
But
that way there's no world restrictions that they have to go by.
Yeah. So who would you develop? Who would be the development for this team, for this video game?
That's hard to say.
Because mind you, remember, Warner Brothers can license out their IPs now.
That's true. Yeah. I would have said, I would have, played the game where I set Rocksteady a few years ago, whether it was, in that continuity or not, just because they had built so much of an engine and, got an open world already. But a lot of the familiar faces in Rocksteady that had a lot of passion behind their projects are no longer there. So I don't know if it would receive the same sort of love that those Batman games did. And, something else that I think could be plausible. If you guys remember the game Warframe, you could base your archery elements off something like that. And from the way they tell stories, I think it's possible that maybe Santa Monica Studio could do it. The guys who made the God of War games. I don't know if they would go and down that angle, but I think they could if enough people had the passion for it.
Could you see Eidos Montreal, the people who made Shadow of the Tomb Raider games, make a green?
That was going to be the next one on my list, actually. I think the people over at Montreal definitely could, especially with the way that they based a lot of the jungle environments and stuff in Tomb Raider and had that be pivotal parts of their narrative and their gameplay. You could do something very similar with Green Arrow. I think you definitely could.
Okay. I think that's really, really cool. You thought of a couple of developers. So is there anything else you want to add for your character before we switch over to mine?
Something that they could add, I don't know if you would want this in a first installment, but could incorporate, back to reference those Arkham games once again, you could incorporate, say you wanted to have a character like Black Canary, who was already established in that game as well, and you wanted to incorporate kind of like a dual play system to where you could switch back and forth in combat scenarios. I'd say that's something that could work in a way, but you could also make it to where take that Spider-Man game again, for instance, where they had bits of Black Cat in there during Predator scenarios, but she wasn't a fully fledged character. So it could work in either one of those ways, whether you introduce Black Canary as playable in that installment, or you would wait to save her off for a hypothetical sequel. But if they would bring her in, then I think that would be a way to do it, is have her kind of in a dual play sense, or maybe even give her her own little story that's interwoven with it, kind of what they did to Catwoman in the second Arkham game.
Okay, that's very interesting. But it's then, so that's you guys said about Green Arrow, pretty much.
It's pretty much, yeah. I mean, I think that's one of the good things about it is the engine and stuff would be so similar to Batman, so there's not that many ways you would have to deviate from it. A lot of the groundwork would already have been done.
Yeah, that is true. But for me, guys, I think you guys know what from the thumbnail, guys, because we got two characters in the thumbnail. One of them is obviously, as Jake has mentioned, Green Arrow, and then mine is, of course, the one, the only, Superman. Yes, Superman. The reason behind it, guys, is because Superman hasn't had a video game since 2006, which is a very long time ago.
And it wasn't that good either.
I wouldn't say it was that bad. I'd say it's much better than the Man of Steel video game from 2002.
Yeah. It might just be the best of the worst as far as the Superman Returns game goes.
Yeah, best of the worst, definitely. When it comes down to the development of the team, I would love to see WB Games Montreal tackle it. I think they're a studio that can handle a character such as Superman. Considering what happened with the Arkhamverse and with Rocksteady, I don't trust Rocksteady enough to do them. To do them a Superman game. I know people want them to make a Superman game, but it's not gonna happen. I don't see it happening. I'd rather see someone like WB Montreal tackle it and give them an opportunity for them to say, okay, we can make something out of it, right? They did try that with a different universe, and it got mixed reception, but it was worth it though, like the Gotham Knights video game, as an example. Now, obviously, the groundwork would be from the ground up, and I would do this on Unreal Engine 5, right?
Yeah, that would be the better way to do it. You would have to go all out if you're going to really make an impression with a Superman game.
Yeah, you would have to go from the ground up, and you would have to be working on this for a long time. Now, in terms of story, I'll take inspirations from New 52, Superman, and also I would take inspirations from Earth 1, New 52, Earth 1. And I would also take inspirations from what else was there? New
Um,
52.
I mean, I think I know you said Rebirth wasn't your favorite, but I think Superman Rebirth is one of the better Rebirth runs. If you wanted to take story material from that,
I mean, Secret Origins would also work as well.
Secret Origins, Up in the Sky is also a great little mini series.
Yeah. So there is a couple of comics out there that would um, interpret for a video game in terms of comics inspiration. But who would I actually bring in? Scott Snyder to be the main guy to come in. Obviously, he's done Batman, but I think his Superman run is really good with Superman Unchained. That's another comic I would interpret. Um, Also, I would actually bring in. I wouldn't bring in Jeff Johns. No way. No way. I bring in Jeff Johns for after the dismal Arkham Knight. Like the whole problem with that game. I'm like, no, I don't want him to touch anything Superman related.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I really view, you know, the way that people see, you know, Paul Dini as one of the quintessential Batman writers. That's how I feel Scott Snyder is for Superman.
Yeah, like Scott Snyder is one of those people who wrote a lot of like really good comics for Batman, like the Court of Owls, and he's recently done Absolute Batman. But if you take a look at his Superman Unchained comic, which he did with Jim Lee and a few others, and it's like, I would love to see that. But I would like to see also Charles Soule and Tony S. Daniel to be a part of this project as well. I think those two individuals would be ideal for a Superman project. Now, obviously, this would not be taking place in the Arkhamverse whatsoever. I think this should take place in another universe, and that's my opinion.
Sure.
It needs to be separate from the Arkhamverse, because if they did it from the Arkhamverse, guys, I think there'd be too much baggage.
One person that I will say that I think would be good to bring in as a writing force for that, I would honestly love to see Tom King have some involvement, because, you know, the guy who wrote Up in the Sky, the guy who wrote Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, yeah, he knows his Superman material, so I would definitely give him some creative influence too.
Not many people would agree with you there. I'll be honest with you on that. I've got a couple of friends who aren't a big Tom King fan after the run of Wonder Woman, so
yeah, that was not the greatest, I'll admit.
So he can either be a hit or miss. That's the thing with Tom King. That's why I said Tony S. Daniel and Charles Soule to be a part of that. And then I would also introduce Wonder Woman in this video game too, right? And you know where I'm going with this, guys. You would have this Super Wonder like chemistry going on and whatnot. So, and furthermore, I think as well, I wouldn't have Lois Lane in this video game because I think Lois Lane is a really pathetic character, to be honest with you. And that's a hot take, but the thing is with Lois Lane is that there's nothing she can really bring to the forte of things. But if you had two superheroes for the price of one in a one video game, just imagine the numbers you could have for that.
I think there's arguments to be made that, you know, Lois could work just as well on that side. And so personally, you know, I've never been that big of a fan of the Superman Wonder Woman connection. It's never really been for me.
Okay.
But the way that I always, you know, view Lois as a character, and, you know, a good exhibit for this is the Superman and Lois TV show, is she's that character that can bring Superman down to earth, you know, that can put a lot of the human aspects in him, even though, you know, he is an alien, one of the most powerful beings in the universe. She can still ground the character and make a lot of his interactions that you would see in a video game and a lot of his moments something that a lot of players could connect with, because Superman is a hard character to relate to, and I feel like using Lois as the emotional anchor for that would be an effective way to go about it.
For me, I think as well, guys, I think for me is you got to think of a villain that would would bring out the best of Superman, right? So that's another thing too. So you need someone like, I don't know. It wouldn't be. We've had Brainiac too many times,
Yeah.
right? We've had him in Injustice, we've had him in the Lego Batman game, and then we had him in Suicide Squad. So I wouldn't use Brainiac. But who would I bring actually would be someone maybe Kryptonian, a Kryptonian, new Kryptonian character to bring into the fold, right?
Maybe
Not
Kryptonian.
Bizarro,
Yeah.
maybe General Zod,
I was
maybe
thinking if
General
you,
Zod, maybe Ulysses, maybe. Go on.
I was gonna say one that I think could work is if you wanted to do Manchester Black and the Elite, because if you guys remember the movie Superman versus the Elite, that is
Yes.
one of the better Superman movies in my opinion, and they tell, you know, it's essentially like what's somebody with Superman's powers and morals could be, and it's contrasted by somebody with Superman's powers but that doesn't have his morals in the slightest. So, you know, that could be a way that you would, you know, get the larger, you know, city of Metropolis to kind of play a role too, instead of just being a generic backdrop for all the events to happen in, because that's been a common complaint in a lot of superhero games, especially in the 2010s, is that the cities just feel dead. There's no life in them. There's no interaction. And if you have a character like that, I feel like it would be able to generate a good amount of liveliness in the city, because you would be able to see, you know, what the public's perception is of somebody with Superman's abilities, and where you have someone who on one side is not willing to go that far versus someone who is.
Okay, that's a very interesting take, I'd say, Jake. You know, when it comes down to, you know, the Elite, I wasn't thinking about the Elite, but hey, we do have two different perspective of villains that we would like to see in a Superman video game.
Right.
Now, I would also bring in the Superman family, so to say, like Steel, Supergirl, Crypto, the Superdog.
Oh yeah.
You know,
Especially
I wouldn't bring
Steel.
especially Steel. Yeah,
Love that character.
I would also bring in. I would also say Connor Kent. You know, his introduction to being Superboy, I think that would be ideal in a Superman video game. I think that would be pretty cool to have. That would be a launching point for a Young Justice video game later down the line. Because
essentially, yeah.
Because if you knock the Superman game out of the park, then you could build onto a team-based game, right? Which could be a Young Justice video game. You have the mechanics there to do like characters like Starfire, Raven, and, you know, Beast Boy, and so on and so forth. But
somebody like Kid Flash would be a little bit harder, but that would be its own development.
Yeah, but you know what I mean though. When it comes down to a Young Justice video game, it could actually work after the events of Superman the video game, right? Now, obviously, but also I think what would be ideal for this video game, there's another option that this video game could be a DCU video game, which is a movie tie-in, a cinematic universe tie-in video game, which can work in the favor of James Gunn, right? I feel that if they did that, a lot of people might disagree with me on this, which, you know, you're welcome to put in the comment section below what you would want for a Superman game, and what sort of characters you would want in there, and so on and so forth. But I know one person individual will pull up the Superman family with John Kent. I know, Tevye, that they're not going to put John Kent in a video game. I'm sorry, he's too redundant of a character to have as a video game character. So before you even think about typing John Kent, no, he's not going to happen. So
I think John Kent has had, you know, good elements about him whenever you've seen him in various adaptations. But if you're going to put one Superboy-esque character, I think Connor would be the way to go.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I think that's why I'll put like either a DCU video game or or take a place in the Gotham Knights universe. I think that would be ideal for the Superman video game. And obviously there's two ways to do that. and obviously work your way from the ground up. And like I said, there's so many villains you could do, but I wouldn't do Brainiac though. Brainiac should not be the villain for the first game, and it should be a trilogy of games, I think, for a AAA Superman game, right?
I think so.
Obviously,
And you can maybe do Brainiac at the end of that trilogy, but not having him start it off.
yeah, I would say either Brainiac at the end of the trilogy or set up Darkseid's invasion for the Justice League game. That can actually work too. That's another option they could do. So that's what I really think about when it comes down to Superman, the character. I mean, you got New 52 elements you could put in. You could put in Superman Earth 1, Secret Origins. You can mix them all together and mash them into one video game, and it can work out in your favor. But I want to hear from you guys in the comment section below. What do you guys think about ours? DC characters that we've picked, Jake's Green Arrow and mine's Superman. Like, what do you guys think of our idea for a AAA who should have their own, AAA DC game?
I love how we were basically on two opposite ends of the spectrum there. I was going more non-powered hand-to-hand combat, and you went for the most powerful character in DC. So
yeah, it was different. Like, he went for more grounded, and I went for more something fantasy.
You were shooting for the stars.
Yeah, that is true. So guys, if you do want to check this out, I'll check out our next video, because me and Jake have gotten to the video up. I will leave a link in the description to our next video, which will feature a Marvel topic. So and that'll be on Jake's channel. So Jake, please let the world know where they can find you on social media and all that good stuff.
So you guys can find me on YouTube, X. I think my Blue Sky is still up, and those are the places that you can pretty much find me. As you can see with my name, it is just Joypad Jake, the little Super Nintendo logo there. That's where you can find me. And the stuff that I said that I do at the beginning of the video, if there are characters you guys want to see me do that I haven't done yet, as far as costumes go, or other video ideas that you guys have to expand on what I've already done, definitely let me know that as well.
Okay, so I'll make sure to put a link in the description to Joypad Jake's Twitter. Obviously, I don't know if he's got me in Blue Sky yet, but I'll make sure to put that in the description alongside his YouTube channel, guys. Please, I urge you guys, go follow and subscribe to Jake's YouTube page. We're trying to get him up to where he wants to be on YouTube, guys. You guys have helped me extra mentally on YouTube. Let's go support this other great content creator out there, guys. He's a very good content creator. He does very good content. So, and if you're into your gaming stuff, you know where to find the people. You know who I go to when it comes to stuff like this. But if you want to follow me, it's at TeladiaPlays _ on X. And if you want to follow me on Blue Sky, then I'll put a link to you or something like that. I don't know, in the future. But I'm on X currently, so make sure you follow me there. And also, if you're new around here, feel free to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, because when a video or a live stream that I do, whether it's a reaction video, reaction live stream, or even a Snyder Fans Read Comics discussion stream, you will be notified for those topics. So until the next video, guys, or live stream, hope you have a wonderful time, wonderful day, wonderful evening, wherever you are in the world. Stay safe out there, and we will see you guys on the next exciting video. And remember, Lois Lane is Lois Lane. She belongs to General Zod. Zoe is a 𝐬𝐴𝐵 for life. We will see you later.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, everyone.